Okay, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, I'll give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, HaKakodash, double honors to the Apostle Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim are tuning to these videos. Alright, so this is going to be a video on another famine, because of the members of Great Millstone have been speaking on the famine of the Word. But this video is going to be pertain more on the famine of food and water. Alright, so I'm going to read these articles that I have lined up. And pretty much they all have they all together, when you read them, they paint a picture of Esau destroying the world. And pretty much during like Jacob's trouble is going to be such a lack of resources and trees that people are going to be eating each other and fighting for food, what little scraps that we have left. All right, it's pretty much it's something that people in the world have to worry about, because Lord willing that we are part of the elect. We don't have to worry about the famine that much. All we got to do is lean upon Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, and he'll feed us. All right, so I'm gonna read this article. This is bad news for all life on Earth. Plants become extinct 500 times faster, study reveals. And you got the picture here of a forest fire. Alright, so the article reads, it says, humans have caused almost 600 plant species to be wiped from the existence of over the past 250 years. It's spiritual how it says, in the past 250 years, because we all know that's when Esau, the so-called white man, he came over here to the west side of the Americas, and then he enslaved the northern kingdom. And it's funny too how this article, it says humans have caused almost 600 plant species to be wiped from existence, when pretty much the indigenous people of North America, they weren't doing this. They weren't chopping down trees. They weren't exterminating the buffalo. But let Esau come over here to a place of beauty, and this is pretty much what's in his spirit to do. It says bison skull to be used for fertilizer. And this picture was taken in 1870. And this is Esau right here, overkilling all the bison. The Native Americans weren't doing that, and they were flourishing over here. All right, just to bring that up, because in this article they paint the picture it's humans, when in reality we already found the source of this problem is the red Hebrew Edomites. All right, so continue on the article. It says an analyst of all plants extinct records documented from across the world by scientists at the Royal Botanic Gardens, New and Stockholm University found 571 known plant species had completely disappeared from the wild since the Industrial Revolution. Another focal point in Esau's rulership, the Industrial Revolution. It says this is more than twice the number of birds, mammals, and amphibians which have become extinct over the same period combined. Plant extinction is occurring as much as 500 times faster than natural background rates of extinctions among plant species, or the normal rate of loss in Earth's history before significant human intervention. And it should say before significant Edomite intervention. It says, although fewer species of animal have died out, their rates of decline is even faster, at least 1,000 times faster than background rates of extinction, underlining the impact humans are having on the. So I'm gonna read this, not verbatim. It says, continue on this article. It says, at least 1,000 times faster than background rates of extinction, underlining the impact Edomites are having on life on our planet. And it's got a little picture of like pretty much things are gonna go extinct. And the pictures are pretty much, they're saying like dragonflies, bees, butterflies, ants, dung beetles, and so forth, so forth, and so forth. The list goes on. It's one thing too is when the Heavenly Father, he designed the planet, he designed it to be balanced. So if you remove one of these things out of the equation, then the whole thing goes out of discourse. It's like try turning on your car with the spark plug missing or one of the tires missing. The whole car needs every piece of that thing to run efficiently. So I'm gonna bring this article, this precept real quick. It says Matthew 24 and 22 says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Because if Esau, the so-called white man, was still ruling, there would no flesh be saved. All these plants would be extinct, and then causing a dirge, a super dirge of no plants or animals, meaning that there won't be any food. But pretty much since Esau's in charge right now, he's doing his best he can to exterminate all life on Earth. But ultimately through prophecy, he's gonna fail doing that. But him doing that is going to cause the famine of food and water. All right, so I'm going to read this part of the article. It says woody plants species such as trees and shrubs, which inhabit a small geographical range, such as those confined to small islands, were among the most likely to be reported extinct. And I got this picture right here. It's doing a comparison of wood from 1918 and 2018. If you notice, the wood in 1918, it's got a lot more rings on it because it's more natural. It's got less years of Edomite supremacy under its belt. Well, this one right here, it's so young, yet you can tell how much Edomite damage it's caused to it. So, I'm gonna read the picture. It says, awesome comparison of an old growth 2x4 versus a new growth 2x4. Notice the old growth has 60 rings and the new growth only has 16. The old wood is more dense, stronger, burns slower, and is more insect resistant. The new wood was grown for the sole purpose of being used for timber, and the old growth was taken from natural forests, which we have very few natural forests left. It's pretty much Esau just messing with nature. Because this is a GMO tree, and it's like I forget the word, but contrary to what this little picture is saying, it's not more bug resistant or fire resistant, because this stuff right here, the fiber, is what the termites eat. As you can see, this one doesn't have as much. That's also why you're not supposed to tamper with these trees as a way that Esau did, because the way that they grow, it's perfect already. There's no need to alter it because it's designed perfectly. And because Esau is over here burning all the trees and exterminating them, he basically had to use his wicked science to mass produce trees. All right, so listen over this article. All right, so this is another article. It says U.S. military is world's single largest producer of greenhouse gases. The Pentagon is the single largest producer of greenhouse gases in the world, according to a new study about climate change that accuses the Trump administration of being in various modes of denial about it. The report from Brown University's Costs of War project focused specifically on post 9/11 wars and their impact on emissions. It's estimated that the U.S. military has been responsible for 1,212 million metric tons of greenhouse gases between 2001 and 2017. Emissions from overseas contingency operations in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, and Syria accounted for more than 400 million metric tons of CO2 in 2017. Alone, the report says the Pentagon emissions were greater than all emissions from Sweden or Denmark. Alright, so I'm going to read this paragraph right here. It says, the study found 7 major sources of greenhouse gas emissions relating to U.S. military activities, including from installations and non-war operations. And I'm going to speak on a little thing about this because I myself, I used to be in the military during this, what they call the post 9/11 time frame. In this instance, we were out in the field and we were pretty much training on a Humvee on like what to do if the Humvee blows up. Like the person in the front seat, the person driving, the person in the back seat, like what they got to do, like what's their roles. So when they get outside the vehicle, they secure the situation and then fix the tire and then evacuate. So pretty much it was my turn to be the driver in the exercise, and so I drive up to the lines because there was a line of all of us, and we're at the very end is where they initiate the training. And so I'm telling my sergeants, because I don't really drive. But for this situation, they needed me in the driver's seat just for training purposes. And so I'm asking my sergeant, oh, so you drive here? He says, yeah, just park it right there. And so I park the Humvee and I turn it off. And he starts yelling at me. He says, Private, what the F are you doing? I said, I don't know what you're talking about, Sergeant. I just parked right here and I turned off the Humvee. And so he grabs a chocolate muffin and he throws it at me. And he points to like the side of us, Private, what the F do you see over there? And so pretty much what it was a whole bunch of fuel trucks I told him, well, Sergeant, I see a whole bunch of field trucks. It says, like, so why the fuck did you, oh, so excuse my French, why the F did you turn off the Humvee? I told him, said to not waste the gas. He's like, we're not gonna effing waste gas because, we're in the American Army. And then so pretty much everyone caught wind of what I was getting scolded for, and it was a gang of Edomites, and they all threw chocolate muffins at me because I turned off the Humvee. All right, so continuing on this article, because honestly, it's most of this like uh, gas emission is during non-war stuff. Like it's all training purposes. Like I guarantee you right now, as you're listening to this video, there's at least 100 tanks on, and they've been on for 12 hours. Because that's just how it rolls in the army. All right, it says emissions caused by the reconstruction or destroyed infrastructure in war zones and the deliberate building of oil wells and refineries by all parties of war have also been factored in. Because it's pretty much just speaking that America's army burns oil, and the only reason they're out in other places is to acquire more oil because it's one of those resources that they burn. Like this thing, I guarantee you, it's been on for 14 hours. All right, so this article, I'm not going to read it because the article's title, it speaks for itself. It says, environmental NGO finds Monsanto chemicals in Cheerios and other food marketed for children. Because if you haven't heard yet, a lot of these cereal brands, when they grow them, they spray a whole bunch of chemicals on it, like some dire chemicals. Like they kill 100% of the aphids. But all this pretty much is going to lead to the famine of food and bread, or food and water. All right, so I'm going to bring these precepts out. This is Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdoms against kingdoms. And we're seeing that right now with all these wars and rumors of wars. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And, gradually we're seeing these prophecies happen. They're manifesting. The famines, because all the plants are dying in an unprecedented rate. The pestilences from all the Esau trying his best to keep the status quo afloat. And then the earthquakes, if brothers got the earthquake app, they can see that earthquakes are happening more and more common. Like people are more used to earthquakes. All right, so this is Second Ezra's. So I'm pretty much gonna jump around in Second Ezra's 15, because it speaks about the famine. But I'll go ahead and start the fifth verse. Second Ezra's 15:5 it says, "Behold, saith the Lord Yahweh power, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction." And so jumping down over here in verse 14 it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and their course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able." And this right here, this is talking about martial law, because the virgin city of Babylon is going to be touched with all these turmoils. There's going to be Gurkha troops and this and that. It's going to be bedlam out there. So verse 18 says, "For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for a great tribulation." Because during Jacob's trouble, it's going to be bedlam out there. Anybody who's been stocking up food because they weren't relying on the Heavenly Father to feed them, and more so relying on themselves to feed them during these troubles, because everybody, like they don't really know it, but they sense it. They sense it that like this, like everything they've seen in movies, like Mad Max, Fury Road, and all that stuff. Like it's guaranteed to happen. And all these people, they're just gonna go crazy on each other, pretty much eat each other too, and ransacking their houses for whatever food they have left. Because Esau's left the whole world in disarray, where it's not just like, you're hungry, go outside and pick some fruit. Now, Esau made sure to set the stage for martial law, Jacob's trouble, so that it's like that you literally, Lord willing, we're of that number, During these times, you need to rely on the Heavenly Father. All right, so I'm gonna jump down to verse 57. It says, "Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy city shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood. For very hunger," so it says, "for very hunger of bread, and thirst of water." Yeah, so you're gonna have people committing the act of cannibalism. And this is verse, is Revelation 18 and 8. "Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire." Just like how this picture is depicting, but times 10. It says, "For strong is the Lord Yahweh power, who judgeth her." And I'm gonna read this again. So, "For strong is the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, who judgeth her." And that her is talking about the city of Babylon. But just to end off on a good note, because during these things, like all these things are reserved for the wicked, pretty much. And so, Lord willing, we're of that number that we continue in the faith, that we don't have to worry about all this. Like, it's gonna be hectic out there, but it ain't gonna be so hectic where it's like the Heavenly Father has forsaken you. He's gonna always have an avenue of exit, pretty much. Like, you're gonna go into the city, and everybody else is gonna die left and right, but you go and walk in the straight path. You're gonna make it through all that trials and tribulation. All right, so this is Job 5:20. "In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword." And the perfect precept to go with that is Psalms 37:19. It says, "They shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied." Yeah, because pretty much you just got to stay in the faith, because you just look out the window, it's going to come out. Like, all these articles are speaking of pretty much like all these things, all these prophecies. Like I read this one in Matthew 24:7. The famines, the pestilences, and the earthquakes in diverse places. All these things are going to come, and the only thing that's going to help you through all this is that you got to lean upon the Lord. Alright, so that's in this video. Hopefully this video was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ha Kwakadash, Shalom Akim.